So a couple of weeks ago, I asked you to try counting 21 breaths instead of 10 in your meditation. David, how'd that go?
When he said it would be hard, I didn't believe it would be hard.
Oh.
And then I got to the first one, I got to maybe 5. But then I wasn't going to give up, so I kept going. And I got to, next time I got to 7.
Okay.
And then I finally got to 21.
Oh,
Like maybe on the 5th try.
Okay.
Is that cheating if you just keep going back?
There's no such thing as cheating in meditation. Right?
And I was like, I'm going to get it. Like, so I just kept going until I got it.
It's not cheating, but the danger is that kind of like if you like grab a dog by the collar and you shove its face in the bowl of water, it might eventually drink something, but it's going to start to set up an adversarial relationship between you, the dog, and the bowl. So you don't want to like abuse your mind and beat it up like you're gonna go to 21. You know, you want to be gentle with it. Stretch yourself with gentleness. I don't want to be gentle, but with enlightenment. Okay. Any questions about the reading, which you've not been doing, or the homework, which you've not been doing? Except that. So here's the deal about the homework. Homework is kind of like meditation. You're not going to find too many people who tell you they love meditation. They're not. Like even monks and nuns who do it all day, every day, it's still really hard. It's really hard to tame your mind and focus and sit still. But you know, the benefits are amazing. For the small amount of time you put into the cushion, benefits are amazing. And eventually, you know, that's where your realizations come. That's where your ability to actually go on a long retreat comes. And eventually that's how you see emptiness directly, straight shot to enlightenment. Same thing with the homework. It's not, you know, because my mom likes to correct homework and I like to send you little sheets to Diamond Mountain. It seals in what you're coming to class to learn. So if you're going to bother to come to class, you may as well do the homework because that's really how you kind of get it to seep in. So, any questions on that? Okay, we started talking about the 7 points on developing good heart that were given to us by whom?
That would be, that's his name. Harlan. Oh no, Shay.
Didn't I give you guys this thing? Let's get this. Okay, so, what were his names?
Geshe. Master Geshe.
Say. But thank you. What were his names? Or give me one of his names. Give me a century. Beautiful. 1101, 2.
1175.
1175.
Short life.
I mean, back then I was probably really not small. So what was going on in the world around them? I looked this up for you guys. It's very interesting. So, does everyone know what the Crusades were?
The Muslims versus the Christians.
Yes, but who instigated it? Yeah, so the Christians, under dictated by the Pope, were going to the quote-unquote Holy Land and the Middle East and force converting Muslims and killing those that wouldn't convert. Very similar to what we're seeing in Iraq today, right? There are people stuck on a mountaintop because they won't convert to Islam. And so they're being told, you know, at gunpoint, convert or die. It's embarrassing that, you know, 1,300 years have passed and we haven't learned anything. I don't know, I think it's embarrassing. So, what else was going on? The Mayan civilization is starting its decline after 3,000 years of flying high. Mayas lived around Honduras, Belize, southern Mexico, current day southern Mexico. He had a, you know, bustling kingdom, and it fell apart, just like kingdoms do. What else was going on? Interestingly, in Africa, in East Africa, cathedrals were being built, and then raided, and then turned into mosques. So this business of going to war, fighting about religion, it's been with us for as long as religion has existed, as long as human beings have existed. And so when we talk about samsara and pour, just this endless cycle of suffering, it really does take an intervention like you to put a stop to it. Okay. So we're still in the 7-step process. We went through the first 3 steps. Anybody remember what they were? Step 1 was something about preliminaries. So normally we talk about preliminaries like clean the room, arrange the altar, do prostrations, right? So it's not that kind of preliminaries. It's more like a foundation that you need before you can actually start this practice. So included in the steps of the practice are the preliminaries of the practice. And the 3 things to meditate on. Remember any one of them? Right, meditate on your death. Meditate on the fact that you have a very short, narrow window of opportunity to get busy. Right. Meditate on samsara. Like this world's not going to work out. This is a very hard pill for most of us to swallow. When I say that this life isn't going to work out, it doesn't mean you're not going to be happy. It just means that the things that you get yourself attached to are eventually going to fade. So Lama Marut says, you're either in the middle of a tragedy or between 2 tragedies. That doesn't mean that the period in between 2 tragedies is blissful. It means that you know another tragedy is coming, and so you're clinging on to something in between. So, for example, last year my father passed away, my dog passed away, I got a new dog, and I have tried not to become insanely attached to him because I know that the dogs, they get sick and die. But it's, that's just like the tragedy down the road that's going to happen. Either I'm going to lose him or he's going to lose me. So that's what it means when we talk about samsara and this life's not going to work out. That's this realm. That's not what we're going for. We're aiming to get out of the cycle of karma, because it's karma that makes this wheel go round, our past actions. It's possible to get out of it. Like Buddhists don't live within the realm of karma. It's true that they're part of cause and effect, right? Like you have to continue creating the causes to remain a Buddha. But it's not possible for a Buddha to have a mental affliction and to have a wisdom obstacle. So it's really not possible for a Buddha to fall out of Buddha, right? It's not like you can become a Buddha and fall back down to the suffering realm. So that's the good news, right? It's a one-way street. Okay, so that was step 1, is the foundation step of these 3 meditations. On your short window of opportunity, focus on your death, and focus on samsara. It's kind of like trapping yourself in a corner, right? There's kind of no way out. So those are the 3 things to meditate on. Then the point 2 is the main practice of developing bodhicitta. Anyone not know what bodhicitta is? Dima, what's bodhicitta? Yes. The wish to obtain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings is normal, deceptive bodhicitta. What's ultimate bodhicitta? So the direct perception of emptiness is the state where your mind leaves your body and you actually perceive emptiness as more than just an intellectual concept. It's direct. And like I said, it lasts about 20 minutes, and then you have this kind of come down state that's about 24 hours. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Just a little bit later. So that's step 2, is actually wishing for bodhicitta. Both normal, which is that you want to help all beings escape this realm, and ultimate, which is that you want to see emptiness forever. Okay? I asked someone why direct perception of emptiness is called ultimate bodhicitta, and I never got a straight answer. Do you know why? Kind of. Okay, well, let's talk at the break, because I've asked all kinds of scholars and teachers, and I get this kind of ring dance. So, okay. Point 3 was transforming problems into the path of enlightenment. So, you guys did pair work on this last week. Like, what is it that you can do that's going on in your life now to help propel you forward in the next step? So I'll give you a funny story that happened today. I had to go to the doctor to do a bicycle test, stress test for my heart. And don't ever make an appointment for a procedure at first thing Monday morning. Because the people are still hungover, they get their leg, it's not in a good mood. So I get there, and the way that they truss you up is unbelievable. They sandpaper your skin, they put these electrodes on you, they put this helmet on my head, and connected to the helmet is this breathing device that goes into my mouth, and then they clip my nose. I mean, I look like a monster. So I'm all dressed up, I'm strapped into the bike, and then nothing. 5 minutes of nothing, I'm like sitting on this hard bicycle seat, I'm probably turning around. There's a doctor and a nurse. And they're like whispering furiously, fiddling with the computer. And so I was like, what's wrong? And they said, oh, no, don't worry. Another 5 minutes go by, and I'm okay, I'm getting off. Which they don't want you to do, because then they have to recalibrate this and the other. So then they start arguing loudly. It's a very young doctor, like maybe 25, 26, and a seasoned nurse. And both of them think they know what's up, So they start blaming everyone, like the cleaning crew came in and they unplugged something, and it happens every Monday. And me, my big mouth, I was like, well, if it happens every Monday, why aren't you on top of it? Like, why don't you get here early and fix this happening? So then they get to like this shoving match, because she's at the computer and he's behind her, reaching over her and pressing buttons. So part of my brain is saying, I'm supposed to be having a stress test, and you guys are totally stressing me out. And the other part of my brain is saying, why do I stress other people out? Right? And I was kind of happy, because it didn't take me all day to get to that point. But in the meantime, I'm still like, okay, get it. Stop now. So use the obstacles that come up, because they're going to come up every day, and use them to like at least check in with your practice, if not like practice patience and move to the next square, right? So, okay, so this period of come down after 30% of emptiness is called Geshe. It lasts about 24 hours. Geshe means subsequent wisdom. Is a great phrase. So, one of the things I told you last week that happens after the direct perception of emptiness is you understand that this world is an illusion, but afterwards it comes back to seeming like it's real, but you know better, which is an awesome place to be. So, when you're at Disneyland, you know that, like, if you're on the Matterhorn, the Yeti that jumps out is not really going to grab you, and you're not really in any danger. I mean, you might be in danger of the thing flying off the rails like it did in the Magic Mountain, but, same thing in a horror movie, you know that it's fake, and even though you might get temporarily scared, when the lights come back on, you know that it's fake. And that's what's happening with direct perception vengeance. It seems real, but you know better. So I think that's why there are certain people that walk around just totally chill, no matter what, because they've seen emptiness directly. They know that they have all that they need. They know exactly where they're headed. Supposedly, the maximum number of lives you have after first experiencing emptiness directly is 7. I already did the math on that, so that's a long time, but it's at least fine, right? You recognize that the Dharma that you've been studying is correct. All sorts of wonderful things happen. You get to hear your real name. You get to encounter the Buddha. You experience and recognize the truth of the 4 Arya truths. I think I had a couple of weeks so that difference between Arya and Arhat. Anybody want to tell me what's Arya? Someone who and Someone.
There's perceived in.
Thank you. And what's an arhat? That's right. They've made it all the way to nirvana. So the step between direct perception of emptiness and nirvana, that's where lots of fun is happening. That's what we want to get to. We want to get to there by like December. So you recognize the 4 Arya truths. What's the first one? Life is suffering. We've already established that, right? That just sucks right there. But the second one helps it out. What's the second Arya truth? Right, suffering is caused. So that means that if you stop putting the cause for suffering in place, you can stop suffering. All you have to do is learn how to stop putting the causes in place. That's the hard part. That's what we're doing right now. And the third and fourth are that you have to actually commit an action for there to be a karmic result. If you don't commit an action, then there won't be a result. And when I first heard that, I was like, well, so what? I mean, I get the part about if I don't do something bad, then nothing bad will happen as a result. But I didn't quite understand how the inverse happens. So if you don't do any good deeds, you're not going to get any good deeds happen to you, right? So it's not just a matter of refraining from doing bad things. You also have to be out there helping others, actively caring for others in your thoughts and in your deeds and in your words. Okay?
Is that number 3?
3 and 4. So, Dima teaches or leads a Thursday meditation class. Very well done. It can help you get the focus that will be required to get on the cushion. Because one thing about the direct perception of emptiness is it does not come to you random, like winning the lottery. It's from months and days and years of being on the cushion and meditating. It only happens during meditation. There are people who will tell you that they will walk into Walgreens and they will hit with the direct perception of emptiness. And I will tell you that would be nice, but if that was the case, meditation would have died out a long time ago. So if you're going to get on the cushion, go for broke. If you're on the cushion to relax and relieve stress, that's awesome. And also be going for the direct perception of emptiness. Why not? So in your homework, you have a line, not even in the homework, it's also in the reading, that says, see the world as a figment of the imagination. And that's referring to this stage of Geshe, where you recognize that the world is an illusion of your own creation. And you want to keep that going, right? Like, not a figment of your imagination in that if you step off the curb, the car will pass through you like the Twilight Zone, but that everything that happens is a direct result of your past action. That's it. And I say that it's like, haha, that's so simple. It's not. I mean, if you told a lie in your envelope, you maximum tell 2 more lies. Right? If every time you told a lie in your envelope, you might test it 1, maximum 2 more times. But that's it, right? But the problem for us is there's this gap between our action and the result. If the result was immediate, we would be lying. So karma, the gap in karma is already like a negative karma because we don't trust it. We think, oh, yeah, I mean, if that guy robbed the bank and he's retired for a war right now, then karma doesn't work, right? That's not necessarily true. He might be living off some karma that happened before the robbing of the bank, and the robbing of the bank will catch up with him. That's the part we have a difficult time believing. But you can test it in your own life. There are certain parts of every single person's life where the karmic gap is very small, and you know what it is. For me, even as a small child, it was stealing. Like if I took something, immediately right after I would like stub my toe or something horrible would happen to the point where like before I even hit puberty, I was done like candy or whatever. So there's something like that in your life. Cheating, lying, stealing, whatever. And pretty soon you'll start to see that expand more and more, where the karmic gap shrinks. Okay. Another line that you're going to see is practice giving and taking, which is, we'll talk briefly about this type of meditation called Tonglen. I want to do it, and I also want to make sure that I get through all of the course. So maybe next week we'll actually do this meditation. It is a fantastic meditation. And this Lojong is where you first hear this concept of giving and taking, which later on comes to be called Tonglen. Where you're basically taking somebody else's suffering and your there are two versions. One, you're dispelling it. The other is where on your breath, you're breathing out kind of like good vibes to a polluted world. It's a very beautiful way to see your mind, is that even just sitting still, you can, for instance, be breathing good hope into the people of Ferguson, Missouri, or the people on the mountain in Iraq, or the people on the Gaza Strip. And then you don't feel helpless. Part of suffering is feeling like we can't help others or ourselves. Now imagine how nice it would be if you felt like your every action was in service to others. So awesome. Okay. Practice throughout the day in words. This means that you're going to repeat the meditation in a prayer all day walking around. So if you decided that you're going to be breathing good vibes on the city of Van Nuys, then all day as you're walking around, driving around, looking at the car next to you, that's what you're doing. It becomes like like your favorite song stuck in your head. Whatever joyous words you choose to give, like I give you health, I give you hope, I give you happiness, you're breathing it out into total strangers. It is a fine way to pass the day. Because let's say that absolutely has no effect on others. Like let's say that's just very, very thinking. At the very least, you're not cursing people. You're not developing any new negative karma, right? So even if your words are just empty and blank and void and meaningless, at the very least, you're not doing anything negative. You're not thinking negative thoughts. It's great. It's a great way to describe it on the street. Okay. The last one that's kind of a little tidbit from the verse is the order of takings to start with yourself. Kind of cryptic. The order of taking to start with yourself. That means, so Tonglen, you're taking someone's suffering and you're giving them everything that you've got. Start with you. So when you get up in the morning, before you can help anybody else, you have to help yourself. So take your own suffering and throw it out. Like literally, take your own suffering and in your mind decide to either set it aside or destroy it. And like I said, I'll give you the actual technique. You can also get it online. But it's kind of like a purification that people go through before they baptize others. Like they get re-baptized and then they baptize others. It's the same thing for you. Before you can get out there and help others, when you get up in the morning, say, okay, suffering, just on the nightstand for right now. I'll come back and get you later. Did we talk about the three objects last week? I can't believe we did. Yes, right, okay. What are the three objects, Debbie?
I know that. Pretty things like.
That's right, pretty things that you like. Yeah, pretty things that you like. What might the next one be? Things you don't like. And then 7-Eleven cashier, neutral, right? Things you don't have any opinion about one way or the other. That's every thought in your mind 24/7. Things I like, things I don't like, things I don't care about. It's pitiful. But that's our every waking thought. Even when you're thinking about the Dharma, oh, I like this person, I don't like that one. Oh, I like this teacher, oh, I don't like that one. Oh, I haven't read this one, don't have an opinion. So that should make it pretty easy to change our thinking, because it's not like there's a whole multitude of things to worry about. So we like it, but we don't like it. Okay, those are the three objects. So the three poisons that go with that are liking things ignorantly. What's the difference between liking things and liking things ignorantly?
So reasoning like it versus just liking it because. I mean, everybody has an iPhone, so we all
Well, the ignorance goes even deeper than that. It's not understanding where the thing comes from. So if you like your iPhone, that's great. If you don't recognize that it comes from your generosity and, you know, communication with others, then eventually that iPhone's going to cause you misery. Right? So that's the ignorance. So the three poisons: liking things ignorantly, conversely, disliking things ignorantly. My irritant of 17 years. I cannot tell you how many things I put on my irritant as her fault without once recognizing that she was coming from me. 17 years. And then the third one is just plain old ignorance, right? That's not understanding worldview, not understanding our world at all. Okay, so those are the three poisons. Now here we go. The three virtues. By the way, the three poisons are always depicted. Almost every Dharma center has a wheel of life at the entrance, and we do too. And in the center, the three poisons are depicted. As long as it doesn't come in here, sorry. Sorry. Exactly. So the pig is straight up ignorant. It's not difficult to imagine. The pig is ignorant. And then usually coming out of its mouth are the other two, right? So there's the rooster or the bird, and the way that it was given to me to remember is that the chickens are always picking up stuff off the ground, right? So that's ignorant liking, and the snake is like ignorant liking. Okay, that's how it's depicted. So check it out at the break, the wheel of life. So the three virtues. This is where you come in, right? We have the three objects, three poisons that go with those objects. Now the three virtues. This is you taking your practice to take away the three poisons from everybody in your world. How do you do that? I don't know how you do that. Sorry? Doing it what yourself? Yeah, exactly. Right? The best way you can help others is like being an exemplary student yourself, right? Student of life. So if you're not constantly railing about things that annoy you, then pretty soon people start to wonder, what's wrong with him that he's never annoyed? Right? Or what's going on with her that she likes everybody? So that's the best thing you can do. It's not a matter of lecturing people, because most people aren't interested in that. It's more your own actions and the way that you walk through life. Okay, here's an awesome line that appears in the Lo-Jong. The blame all belongs to one person. I think we talked about that last week. Who's that one person that the blame belongs to? So if you guess it, you get the prize. Sorry. But, you know, unlike the doctor and nurse today, we're blaming the cleaning crew, and the, you know, a person who didn't fix the cord. If something is effed up in your life, it's just you who is to blame. You have to find someone to blame. It doesn't serve any good. So what? So you find someone to blame, then you still have the problem. So, you know, it's not really, I don't know, unless you need a reminder that you're the one who has caused these issues in your life, searching around for who to blame is a exercise. If you need to know who to blame, it is you. Okay, so that was that was step 1 and 2 we covered. Step 3 is transforming problems into the path of enlightenment. The first line that's kind of cryptic is see the deception as being the 4 bodies. Emptiness is the matchless protector. Now, that whole line should be kind of cryptic to you. So what's the deception, first of all? See the deception as being the 4 bodies. So what's the deception? Yeah, the things coming from their own side. So, if you see them as being the 4 bodies, first of all, what in the world are the 4 bodies? 4 bodies of Buddha. So, it's not like the Buddha has 4 bodies. But one way to try to get our pea brains around thinking of the Buddha, trying to conceptualize the Buddha, is to think about the Buddha as having 4 distinct properties that of which it's made. So I'll break it down for you in 2 different ways. So when someone talks about 2 bodies of the Buddha, there's the Dharmakaya. Kaya is body, and then there's the Rupakaya. Okay. So the Dharmakaya is the wisdom body, and the Rupakaya is the form body. Okay. So if you hear someone talk about the 2 bodies of the Buddha, that's what they're talking about. These 2 sides that always show up in form and wisdom, right? So under these 2 are 2 other bodies. So I'm going to start with the Rupakaya. There's the Sambhogakaya. Which is the paradise body. The paradise body is what I call the swimming pool body. This is where the Buddha is with all of his or her friends in the swimming pool in paradise. Because it's difficult for me to imagine what a paradise is like. But it's not difficult for me to imagine what being in the swimming pool with all my friends is. So that's the paradise body, where the Buddha is hanging out with all of his friends. Okay. The other is the Nirmanakaya. What's that? Anybody? The emanation body. The Buddhists can emanate as anything. Meaning they can come to you or on any planet as anything. As a stable, as your best friend, as a 7-Eleven clerk, as your boss. Whatever you need to show up to get your attention, a Buddha can emanate as. Okay? So that's why they fall under form, right? Literally taking form. Okay, under Dharmakaya, we have Svabhavakaya. I love these words. Which we're just going to leave right there for a second. And then the Jnanakaya. Sometimes called the Jnanakaya. The Jnanakaya is the wisdom body. The wisdom body directly realizes emptiness. Okay? So a Buddha is actually experiencing emptiness and also deceptive reality at the same time. It's not something that we're capable of. This one, Svabhavakaya, is the emptiness of all the other bodies. This is the big kahuna. This is what we rely on, right? If a Buddha wasn't empty, we couldn't become a Buddha, right? If we weren't empty, we couldn't become a Buddha. So that's what we have in common, right? It's our emptiness. Any questions on the 4 bodies of Buddha? Well, I know, it's a lot. But just think about this swimming pool. Think about the you know, as a title piece of someone's
That's 4 bodies.
Because, so, I'll give you guys a website that actually breaks it down into a bunch of different ways. It's usually 3, right? So it's these 2 and Jinyana. So Abhavakaya is understood, right? So if one's going to be left out, it's the one that's left out. If someone is talking about the 2 bodies of Buddha, they're just talking about formula. But you can slice and dice it.
So they're saying 4 is really the subset.
Yeah. Okay. Sometimes I lie around wondering which body I like best. You know, like when you pretend that you're Buddha, which I hope you all do. I'm like, do I like to emanate more than I like to be Buddha? You know,
Is it one or the other, or do you not surround?
well, so I wish I could think of. So first of all, just the idea of bodies is already incorrect because, you know, I'm limited what a Buddha can do or be. Because I'm limited in my own imagination. So I can't imagine having more than one body. So in my mind, I'm sort of just flitting from one body to the other. But it would be fun to see me flip from, you know, like, no, that's not happening. It's like this. Okay, so, so here's the bad news about these bodies. There's always a little bad news. You could be that if you hadn't been messing around with your past bazillion lives. You could be there already. So hopefully you'll remember that the next time you hold your mouth shut instead of answering back to someone who ticks you off. That this is the goal. Multiple bodies. A lot of people think that having beautiful tankas and beautiful altar will protect them from dying or will protect them from bad things happening. But let me just tell you right now that those monks that were chased out of Tibet had more Buddha statues and more Dharma surrounding them than anybody on the planet. And that did not prevent their temples from going up in smoke and ash right before their eyes. Did not prevent them from being chased down by soldiers and killed. So having a beautiful tanka and a nice altar, that's great to keep your eye on the prize. But the only thing that can really protect you are your own actions and what you do. Okay. So those are the tough lines of class 4's reading. So I'm now going to give you the juicy part of this course, which is called Poem. This is the thing that people line up for on the streets of New York. It's the sexy teaching. It's one of the most popular Tibetan Buddhist principles. And so it's the anchor of this course. So Poa, like a lot of popular things, has been misunderstood. The Poa is actually 2 things. It means to move, like literally to pick up and move. What's being moved is your mind, your consciousness is being moved from one realm to another. So literally think of like a van pulling up to your mind stream, you packing it, and the van taking it off, either at your death, typically at your death. So I'm going to teach you how to die tonight. So the thing that people kind of get wrong about Poa is it's got 2 parts, not just 1 part. Of course, for Galupa, so there's a long list. There's the part about what your actions should be at the time of your death. That's the part that people line up for. But the previous part, which is even more important, is what you need to be doing every day up until your death so that you can actually do those things in death. I've seen a couple of people die. It is not this sweet, gentle, they're terrified. They're hallucinating, they're upset, they're confused, their body is shutting down, their mind is shutting down. So if you think that you can learn some new death practice on your deathbed, forget it. Not gonna happen. You have to learn it and start practicing now. So what's the practice? It's the 5 powers. Not to be confused with the 4 powers. Power number one, projecting power. So this means that you make a resolution for the future. When you wake up first thing in the morning, you decide what your purpose is for that day. It's hopefully the care and feeding of sentient beings, right? It's taking care of others. It's to be a good son. You wake up in the morning, and that's what you think of. I am going to spend this day thinking of others before I think of myself. What does that actually look like? Like, what is the thing I love about Buddhism? You know, I've been a religious person my whole life, but the thing I love about Buddhism and that works for me is that it gives you practices. Because I think we all understand that you want to be a better person, you want to be nicer, you want to be more intelligent, but actually getting to that point, a lot of spiritual paths kind of leave you hanging. And Buddhism is like, oh, you clean the bathroom on the Amtrak train, right? So what does it look like, projecting power? You decide, oh, I'm going to take care of others. I'm going to a party, going to a work party today. So when I walk into the room, here's how I normally walk into a room. All of us. We walk into a room and we start looking around. Oh, who's here? Who's here that's seeing me? Or who's here that I can go talk to? It's me. So, Lo-Jong mind, you walk into a room, you should continue to scan. That's a habit. You've got that. But this time you're scanning for, oh, is she comfortable? Oh, does he need something to drink? Oh, is she new? Let me go talk to her. So it's not like, oh, what's in it for me? It's how am I in it for others? Okay? You do have to kind of plan it because we have these old habits that just sort of take over during the day. So if you don't wake up and pre-plan, like, okay, I know I'm going to a meeting, I know I'm getting on the 405, I know I'm meeting my mom, pre-plan a couple of talking points, as they say, right? How are you going to walk into the room? Are you going to look around and see what others need? It is a great practice. So that's projecting power. Why in the morning? It's not a coincidence, it's not a mistake, it's not random. In the morning, when you get up, your mind is mushy and malleable. And you can tell it to do things that you cannot tell it to do at noon, right? So I'm someone who likes food, and I get attached to these specific restaurants. Like, I'll be on this kick for a couple of years with one restaurant, and I want to go there all the time. So I got this new restaurant that I like called Lojong. And once in a while, our boss will take us out to lunch. But I've already had a Bouchon lunch, so I can't have another Bouchon lunch. So there's this woman in my office who's pregnant, and she came up to me, and she's like, where do you think that we should go for my lunch, my goodbye lunch? And I was like, Bouchon. I was like, oh, I don't want to really give my opinion. Like, where do you think? She's like, no, I'm asking you because I have no idea. I was like, oh, Bouchon. She goes, oh, wow, Sarah said the same thing. So it's like 5 people on one team and 2 of us named this restaurant of all the restaurants in LA, right? And I was like, Bouchon, Lo-Jong is working. Okay, habituation power is the next one. This one is super hard and super awesome. So you know what habituation means, and you know that making a new habit and sticking with it is tough. So here's what it means. It means that get used to cherishing others first. Right? That's the goal. Get used to cherishing others first. How do you do that? Here's what the Kadampas say. Every time you change positions, you remind yourself to think of others. I kid you not, that from time to time I'm like, I'm not going to move. I don't want to think about anyone else. I'm not going to move. I'm just going to be stuck in this position. But that's what you tell yourself. Every time you switch positions, every time you grab the mouse or grab the phone or crack your back, remind yourself, oh, I'm thinking of others. I'm living for others. I'm doing this for others. What do others need? How can I be better for them? That's what the habituation power is. 3 is the force of pure white seeds. What does that mean? So it means two things. Every irritation in your life is actually the cause of you falling apart. It's the cause of you getting old, getting sick, and dying. It's because you have an irritant, and they're an irritant because you don't see where they're coming from. Right. So there are two things that you need to do. One is to clean up your old negative karma. There's a way to do it called using the four forces, which if you don't know, we'll talk about. If I have time, I'll talk about it tonight. Otherwise, remind me, and we'll talk about it next week. Super effective. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy I found out about this practice. And the thing is, like when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, but I don't know all the negative karma I have to wipe out. You know enough of it, right? You know about that person you told off. You know about wishing ill on your neighbor or whatever. So this process, which is a mental process, you can do it, and it completely cleanses your negative karma around that incident. It's fantastic. And I'm sorry to give you that teaser without giving you the teaching, but I'll try. If not tonight, I promise next week. So that's what you need to do, is wipe out some negative karma, and then you need to get some new good karma, right? You need to have start building your war chest of merit. What is the best way to collect good karma? Yeah, very good. But doing good deeds specifically for whom? No, especially not them. You're close. Your teacher, right? Your Lama. Doing good deeds for your Lama is the best way to accumulate merit. Next best is helping get the Dharma out there. And Dharma doesn't always mean, spoken by Lord Buddha or spoken by Geshe Chekawa. It's anything that's going to improve people's lives, right? So if you are instrumental in getting that, like Brandon right now is collecting massive doses of karma, right? Exactly. Try to position yourself to do that. So I'll give you some examples. Does everyone here know the Waze app? Waze is it's a phone app that gives you directions on the quickest route to get to somewhere. You need it. It's awesome. So it's an app that gives you shortcuts and whatnot, but it also shows you, the police are right around the corner, or there's a red light, camera red light ahead, or there's a car stalled on the side of the road. Be careful. So if you're the passenger in a car and you're using this app, you can be getting great merit the whole trip because you're saying, oh yeah, there's a car stalled, you plug that in, and all the people on the road get to benefit from your little pushing of a button. Okay? Do you guys know what CAPTCHA is, like on the Ticketmaster site? When you have to buy a ticket and it says, what word is in the box, right? That's called CAPTCHA. There's a project called reCAPTCHA, which is fantastic. So instead of just typing random Jack and Jill, whatever, you're actually digitizing texts where the writing is either fading or whatever. So you're redigitizing books before they can become extinct, can go out of existence. So every time you buy a ticket from Ticketmaster and you type in some word, think about the fact that you're actually helping. You're helping who knows how many countless thousands of people. So put yourself, use your daily life as an opportunity to accumulate some merit. I teach. I used to do public speaking for the Alzheimer's Association. Not public speaking, I would do trainings on like how to deal with someone who has Alzheimer's. And it would be trainings for caregivers or nurses, groups of 20 people. And then I was like, oh no, look, I have far too much experience and education in this area to be talking to 10, 15 people at a time. I need to be talking to 200 people at a time. So that's what I do now. The Alzheimer's Association calls me when they have a huge group of people, and then I go and I talk. And I'm not doing it just to collect this massive, dose of merit, but because I want to help people, and I want to help as many people as possible. So put yourself in a position where your talent automatically lends itself to helping others. Okay, that's the force of pure white deeds. Dima. rather than me teaching people the 4 forces, how about you teach people the 4 forces? You're on. You want this?
Walk around like you.
Or you can sit on the throne, you can stand there, you can do whatever you want. So this is the practice that you use to purify your negative thoughts.
All right. So the 4 forces, you want to put them up?
I actually did give him warning before this. I didn't just.
Yeah. No. I would resist much more. This would be not warning.
So the 4 forces are under number 3, right?
No. I mean, the 4 forces are a process that you can use to purify negative karma, and point 3 is saying you need to purify negative karma.
There's a few ways there's a couple ways that they're listed. One that I learned first, so I remember like that, is 4 R's. Regret, refuge, restraint, and restitution. The way Alicia learned it, and the way she likes to say it, is it's actually DFAR. These are switched, which is, anyway, let's talk about them. So regret just means that without guilt, you regret what you have done, recognizing that you have just made a big poo-poo. I think of it like you're a captain of a drowning boat, and which is like rushing towards a waterfall, and you're trying really hard to, and it's a blow-up boat, and you're trying really hard to get yourself away from the waterfall, and what you just did is you poked another hole in the boat. So you want to feel like, and also what makes this really powerful is what we were talking about before, is recognizing your death. You just did that, and you may not have time to clean it up. Okay, your consciousness is in the state now where you can do the 4 forces. In the next second, it can be a consciousness of a dog, and then the dog can do 4 forces. You won't have the knowledge or the concentration, or you don't even have to become a dog. You may just go crazy. Let's not talk about future lives. Even in this life, you may just have a bad day or forget Dharma or all these teachings. So don't waste your time. There was I forget which saint, Alicia? I don't know. Some famous saint. They say traveling with him would be impossible because every 2 seconds he will, not 2 seconds, but very often he would get off. Yeah, he would get off and have to clean up because he's recognizing this is polluting your mind. You're trying to get, your whole thing here is to try to get away from the waterfall, which the only way you can do it is by seeing emptiness directly, and the only way you can do that is by having a clear, focused mind. If you're polluting your mind, that's not gonna happen. So, when you recognize that you've done something bad, and you recognize you can die at any time, you feel like shit. Like, the example they give is like drinking poison. You drink, I'll take a sip of this, and then Alicia says, oh. We were at something, some gathering for a New Year, and somebody gave me a bottle of kombucha, and I almost took a sip. And then when I was bringing it up, it just, this strong smell. I felt a strong smell, and it was something they put in the fire. I forgot, something they put, it was lighter fluid, basically. It was really late and, just mechanic, So you do that, and then you're like, You know, like what I do. That kind of regret. You know, guilt is not useful because guilt is you just reinforcing the self, right? It's saying somebody is bad. It's like Alicia was talking about blame. Like, what's the point of finding somebody to blame? That's not going to fix anything. Regret is recognizing something negative has happened and I got to clean it up because the boat's going to sink. With me and all these other people on the boat. Okay, so that's regret, or it's called destruction. Right? That strong feeling it starts the destruction of the negative seed that you've created. Right? The seed cannot really take hold if you have regret, if you think I shouldn't have done that. So at the very least, if you're doing something stupid, you think I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that. Right? It's very powerful, and you know if you take vows specifically, you know this feeling of regret prevents you from breaking them out completely. And then what's called refuge or foundation. And then when you make a hole, you're like, oh crap, now, you know, I'm going down. Like, what will help me? You know, what can I stand on? What is really beneficial, right? And the refuge is, I don't know, have you talked about the 3 jewels? Well, this is a whole nother class, you know, you take course 2. But basically, what can help you is nothing. The fact that nothing has any self-existent nature, right? We talked about that. That's really the ultimate protection that you're going to have. The negative deed, you who did it, the consequences of negative deed, karma, all of that has no essential nature. That's why you can change it, right? That's why you can change it. Another, second part, so expanded view of refuge is what's called the 3 jewels, which is the Buddha and mainly your potential of becoming a fully enlightened being, right? So you are not essentially a schmuck who just yelled at somebody. You're an enlightened being in progress. The Dharma, which is, you know, ultimately the direct perception of emptiness, your recognition how reality is working. That will save you. You know, not trying to fix it somehow externally, but your consciousness getting in touch with directly with how reality is working will help you destroying the negativity. And the Dharma is your, you know, ultimately the people who have had that experience of seeing reality directly, or conventionally the people that are practicing. And people here will help you. You know, if you really take this practice seriously, and you will go through ups and downs. And when you go through ups and downs, if you're smart, you will grab onto people around you because they will pull you up. And the second part of refuge is compassion. Is what we're doing. Is this class? Is thinking about other people. Is bodhicitta. Is recognizing that your goal here is not to, you know, to assert yourself and to yell at somebody who just yelled at you. Your goal here, you're trying to save all sentient beings. You're trying to recognize reality so you can shift the whole paradigm, shift the whole world. By the way, an interesting thing I heard, the reason you go for refuge in 3 jewels and bodhicitta, and I actually didn't, I don't know if I've ever learned this, but is because when you do something bad, you do it against 2 parties. When you yell at somebody, you're kind of violating the Buddhas, and you're violating regular people. So you go to refuge to the 3 jewels, which is the emptiness, which is, you know, the Buddha, the teacher, to kind of make amends to the Buddhas, and you go for refuge to your feeling of compassion and bodhicitta to make amends with the people, with the actual person that you have done the negative deed against. So now that you've done those, you automatically, the next 2 should come automatically. You should be like, I am not going to do that again. Right? And if this doesn't come automatically, you should look at these. You probably haven't done those. If you really, you know, if this is what cyanide or poison I drink it, I'm not going to do that again. If I really recognize, you know, that the consequences that I've created. So this is restraint, also restraint. And then restitution or antidote is you want to undertake some action that will plant the seeds for you to stop doing these things, you know. Because most of the time, if you've done it, you probably have done it before, and you may do it again. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, restraint, you want to do it for a certain amount of time. Because if you just say, I'm not going to, you do these in meditation, by the way, or, walking, sitting on the bus, whatever, at work. You want to do these. This can take you an hour, it can take you a minute. But you want to say, I'm not going to do this. If I just yell at my mom, I want to say, I'm not going to yell at my mom for the next 1 minute, whatever you can handle. Because you don't want to say, I'm not going to ever yell at my mom, and then you yell at your mom, and then now you have line that you're going to clean up, and then you just compounded circle, right? So you want to make this work for you, right? This is, you put in something negative in your mind, you want to put something positive in. This is the positive stuff you put in. You want it to stick. You want it to be something that's real, right? So restraint needs to be something you can do. And then antidote, you want to, again, put a positive seed in your mind, something that will undercut this tendency of why you did this, right? The self-cherishing. So there's 6 traditional antidotes. The most powerful one, they say, is understanding emptiness, because that's the antidote to everything. Right? We've talked to all negativity, right? So you want to study emptiness. You want to study the scriptures. You want to meditate on emptiness. You can say names of the Buddhas if that means something to you. You can draw holy images if that means something to you. There's a couple more to remember. Say mantras. And there's one more. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. So you wanna do things basically that remind you of this, right? But the ultimate antidote, and if you're, I try to do this, and this is the most powerful one. I think this is the most accessible to us because, a lot of these are ritual items which work, but they only work if you have been practicing them. If you haven't, if the stupa means nothing to you, just carrying, like Alicia was saying, just making altars is not going to do anything. But emptiness definitely, it will change your mind. And that's where all of that junk came from. Okay.
So the 4 forces, I would strongly advise that you do them every day, in your meditation practice. Thank you. And when you committed an offense against your own higher good, clean it up. There's no point in letting it fester and continue to infect the practice. So thank you for that teaching, Dimitri. So let's say, I said that the thing that would be the quickest path to accumulating merit is helping a teacher. Let's say you don't have a teacher. Okay. You can donate to a center, a Dharma center. Here's what I have to say about donating. Stretch yourself, not so that it hurts, but so that you recognize the importance of these teachings. And however much that is, it might vary from week to week. I brought up my check today. And there's a saying in the Bible, it's actually pretty cool. There was a woman who went to temple, and she gave pennies, like literally like a few pennies. And there were a lot of rich people who were giving lots and lots of money. And here's what Jesus had to say about it. Truly I say to you, this poor widow put in more than all the contributors to the treasury, for they all put in out of their surplus, but she, out of her poverty, put in all she owned, all she had to live on. Now, I'm not telling you to put in all you have to live on, but what I am saying is what you have to give is relative to you. Start with whatever you can comfortably give, with plus a little stretch, and then all of a sudden that will open your heart and you'll be able to do a little bit more. Dimitri houses every single Dharma student that comes from out of town. He finds them a place to stay. And my mother frequently does the same thing. She even bought air mattresses so that when people come, if there's not an extra room, they've at least got an air mattress to sleep on. And it's just second nature to them. Someone says, I'm coming to town. Why would you have them pay for a hotel when they can stay with you? Now, for me, it's not that easy for me to say, yeah, you can come stay at my house, because people don't always act right. So that's something that I need to work on. And also, I grew up with my dad just like inviting anybody to come stay with us, and I got sick of it. But that's my own bad. It's like something to work on. Like, don't just give the things that are obvious, like money and volunteer work, but stretch yourself. Be creative. Okay. Number 4. So what list am I giving you? Right. POA, the life lessons. How many are there? How many powers are there? 5, right? So number 4 is rip out from the heart. That's the name of the power. Rip out from the heart. That sounds pretty powerful. What do you think we're ripping out? So here's what happens at my job. We get lunch every day. We get breakfast and lunch. And there's this day that comes around every 2 weeks called Chipotle Day that I hate. I hate Chipotle Day. And as soon as I see Chipotle on the refrigerator wall, I start to like get a little upset that lasts through lunch. Which is a completely spoiled reaction because we're talking about free food, right? So this is what you're ripping out, is your self-cherishing. It's all about me and what I want, and why aren't they thinking about, I want this kind of food, right? That's what we're doing all day long. Me, 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 my need is not being met. Rip that out from the heart. It sneaks up quickly. It sneaks up, you don't even know it until you've complained about Chipotle Day. I think Chipotle Day is tomorrow. I'm going to practice. So think of yourself as your own guardian angel, right? When this thought comes up, the angel in you is like, no, 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 whatever you got to do, like the kids next door. Like, no, we're not doing that. Chipotle Day is just fine. I'm going to try. 5, prayer of power. Holy Ghost power. What was number 1? Projecting power. And number 2 was habituation. And number 3 was white seeds. Okay. Seeds. Seeds are like what you're planting. Okay, 5, prayer of power. All right, you started your day with the commitment, right? And then you have this habituation process where every move you make, you're trying to keep the commitment, right? Every bad thought that comes up, you're snatching it out. Every self-cherishing thought, you're snatching it out. Now, what do you think you're doing? You're going to bed, and you're rejoicing in all the amazing good work you did today. You pat yourself on the back and you say, good job. Atta girl, atta boy. It's very important to see yourself doing wonderful things and being congratulated and thanked for it, because nobody else is going to thank you. I guarantee it. So yeah, before you close your eyes, say, oh, I tried today. I remembered, and I I didn't kick anybody's behind. Do that. This is your real homework for next week. These 5 steps. And then make a prayer, kind of like the prayer that you started the day with, that you get bodhicitta at some point. It really does feel good to not be worrying about yourself and your needs all the time. It really does. Not that I would know. So you should do these 5 powers all day. Right. So those were the 5 powers that you do throughout your life. Now, the powers that you do on your deathbed have the same name but different meanings. Okay? It's a little strange. But it's easy to remember. Okay, so projecting power. So what did I say projecting power means during your life?
Care about others more than yourself.
Yeah, right? You're projecting out into your day that you're going to care about others more than you care about yourself. That's your wake-up call while your mind is mushy. On your deathbed, you are making a determination not to lose the wish to gain enlightenment for others. Okay? That's what projecting power is on your deathbed. That's it. Just holding tight to that wish. It can leave you. You know, like if you're in pain and you're confused and you're hallucinating, the easiest thing would be like, oh, forget about others. Let's worry about me, right? So only after you've been practicing for years that you're doing this for others will you be able to maintain it at your death. Habituation power. What is it during your life? Every time you make a move, every time you move your body, reach for the phone, wave, you're thinking about, oh, that's right, I'm in it for others. I'm in it to win it for others. So on your deathbed, because you have been habituating yourself, despite the pain, despite the hallucinations, you prepare yourself with a vision that you could be responsible for teaching people how to die. So you're going to die right, without screaming and wailing and being agitated, as a role model for others. And those of us who knew Andrew, he pretty much had that nailed, right? He had every reason to complain, and he never did. He had every reason to be angry, and he spent his time getting his artwork together so he could give it out to people who were taking care of him. So that's the kind of power that we're talking about. You spend your whole life being that kind of person, and then on your deathbed, that's what comes up. Okay, that's habituation power. 3, pure white deeds is mentally giving away everything you have. Let them use my bank account. Let them use my property. Please use my property in Louisiana. I have this property in Louisiana that's shared with 230 relatives, and it's like such a mess. It is. Anyway, so please, on my deathbed, someone use it. Let them, every good thing that you've got, you want on your deathbed to be giving it away to people in your mind. Have it, use it, enjoy it. Believe it or not, people don't do that. They're stingy even on their deathbed. Like, I don't want you to have it. You weren't a good son. So that's the power of pure white deeds on your deathbed. Sorry, pure white seeds. See how you messed me up? Okay. 5, prayer of power. This is the sweetest part of the practice. As you die, 4. Oh, I'm sorry. 4. Ripped out from the heart. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is important. Ripped out from the heart. We said, stop the Chipotle thought, right? Stop the negative thought at the heart, at the root. Stop it. On your deathbed, you want to confess whatever heavy burden you've got. Whatever thing you have done that is weighing you down, that's embarrassing you, that's made you feel ashamed and made it impossible for you to tell anyone, just clean it. Either mentally or tell someone, preferably a Dharma brother or sister or your Lama. I did such and such an act. I've not been able to clean it up and let it go, and do so at that point. So that's what it means to rip out from the heart on your deathbed. So you can go with a clear conscience. Prayer of power. What was it in life? Rejoicing in your good work. So here's what you're doing on your deathbed. You are trying to take the world's suffering with you. Let it all come on. Let it come to me. I was driving behind one of those food trucks today, and I smelled like such powerful smell of gas that I thought it was my car, that I'd either left the gas cap off or I had a leak. And my first thought was, oh my God, I hope that's not me. And then I was like, I do hope that it's me, because I have the means to take care of it. And maybe that person in the food truck has spent their last dime, on gas and is trying to make a living. And yeah, I want it to be me. So on your deathbed, want it to be you. All the negative stuff that the world is going through, that the world doesn't know how to get out of, try to take it with you, please. Yeah. This requires meditative focus. It really does. To be able to think like this, to be able to even contemplate your own death, your mind immediately wants to jump away. You know, people think they want to know how to die until they're actually on the cushion, and then immediately monkey mind happens. Does everyone know that monkeys are super, super way more powerful than humans? Yeah, a monkey will rip your face off like in a second. Anyone have any idea why? Like why monkeys are so much stronger than we are? Oh, well, you know, just like, yeah, you don't want to be around an angry monkey. So you know, we often talk about monkey mind, and I've always been curious about why monkeys, even though they're smaller than us, why are they like stronger? So the reason is that they evolved towards their environment, just like we did, right? They're not bipedal. They like climb around and walk on all fours. So they have serious, strong upper body. And not as strongly developed glutes because they're not walking like we do. You need that to take a step. So they also are lacking in fine motor skills, like the skills that you need to pick up a pen or a fork. Monkeys don't have that. We have that. So I started thinking, you know something? We have it all, right? We have fine motor skills and gross motor skills. We don't require the same strength as a monkey because we've built a house. We don't have to climb up into a tree for protection. We have the ability to fly. We have the ability to get information at our fingertip on our phone. We have the ability to talk to someone and see them thousands of miles away. So whenever you think about how far you are from enlightenment, really switch that and think about how close you are, right? Right now, these things are external. But soon, you don't know, Google might be a chip in your brain, and you'll have all the information in the world. You'll be able to teleport yourself. Like right now, they have 3D printers that they're printing organs on for organ replacement. Debbie's like, they do? Yeah, like you can, you know, get some skin cells, put them in a printer. I mean, in a 3D printer, and create an ear for someone who's had an accident, or a kidney, or you name it. It's phenomenal. So, you know, think about how close we are to being able to spontaneously help people. It's amazing. I mean, I can't wait. All right. Ooh. I gave you all that. Okay, it's break time. 5 minutes, people. Break away. Let's hear some music. Here are Geshe Chekawa's last words. Very, very sweet. Has become apocryphal in Dharma classes. I was praying that I could pass on to the lowest hell for the sake of every living being. It's not working. I can't go. All I can see before me now is the paradise of enlightenment. So he was doing POA. He was like, bring it. I'll go to the lowest hell for others because I can handle it. Let me take all the world's suffering. But all he could see was enlightenment because he had done all his work, and he had accumulated such great merit and cleaned up his mental afflictions. So, but at least he was trying for our sake, right? Very, very sweet. It's not working. Okay, so in the 7 steps, we are now at step 5. This is the point where you've developed the good heart, okay? This is where you can say, it's not me checking my notes or doing the homework, it's spontaneous coming out of my heart, all right? It boils down to one thing. You no longer have the tendency to put yourself first. Some of you are very close to that now. You no longer have the tendency to put yourself first. That is when you know you have developed Lojong. And if you're not there, that's okay. You will get there by doing these practices. It's inevitable. Okay, the teachings say there are 2 judges, keep the main one. That means that in your life, there are two types of people who are judging you. One, that's the people around you. And it is true that your interactions with others should be getting better. It should be improving. With your coworkers, with your siblings, your girlfriend, your parents, your kids. Those relationships should show a difference if you're doing these practices. The other judge is who? You. Right? You're the one who knows what's in your heart. Have you been actually doing the work? Have you been meditating? Have you been trying? Have you been doing the habituation practice of every time you move, reminding yourself that you're doing it for others? So when the teachings say there are two judges, keep the main one is you. It doesn't matter whether other people know what you're up to or not. Yes, your relationship should be improving, but that doesn't mean you have to carry a badge that says Tiffany Lojong, right? Okay. I do have this to say. If you're doing this work, your demeanor will change in such a way that people will notice and ask you what's up. So now, I have dragged my entire family and any friend who will listen to Dharma classes. Now, I ask other people, where are your friends and family? And they're like, oh, well, they don't understand or they think it's weird. Some talking points for you about weird. So this is out of the mainstream, right? Let's talk about what's in the mainstream. Lack of education. We are somehow the richest and stupidest country on the planet. And when I say stupid, I mean we have a ton of money and we don't use it to educate people. I work at a company where we have 800 engineers from other countries because we don't have engineers that we can hire in America. It's ridiculous. Okay? So that's part of the mainstream. Poverty. How about this? Full-time Walmart employees cost us $6.2 billion a year in food stamps because they're working below the poverty level. These are full-time employees. That means they're working full freaking time and still don't make enough money to not be off food stamps. Cannot make a working wage to support their families. All right? That's part of the mainstream. We've already talked a little bit about Missouri. I'm not even going to go into that. How about war funding? I want you to guess how much the war in Iraq and Afghanistan to date has cost. Just take your wildest guess. It's a number I've never even heard of. $4.4 trillion the war has cost us. So that's part of the mainstream. You know, for people who think that this is weird, how about that for weird? $4.4 trillion spent on killing people. Television doping is what I call it. People call it binge watching. I call it television doping. You're literally like going into a TV coma. And I know that Lama Marut talks about TV a lot. I'm going to give him this number. What percentage of American households binge watch TV? Would you guess? Good guess. 50%. 50% of American households binge watch television. Isn't it crazy? So binge watching is when you watch all or as much as you can of a TV season in 1 or 2 days. Yeah. And that phrase was coined about Netflix because Netflix tries to release a whole season at one time. And when that first came up, they fought it. Like, it sounds gross, right? It sounds unhealthy. But it stuck, and so they just adopted it and said, yeah, let's just use it as part of our marketing, binge watching. And it's worked, you know. People are so proud. They're like, oh, I watched all 13 episodes in one day. I'm like, how's your brain not falling out? So, alcoholism. This is a relatively comforting statistic. Only 2.5 million people drank themselves to death last year. 2.5 million people. They're the ones who don't want to come to Dharma class because it's weird, right? Consumer capitalism. What would you guess is the per capita average daily spending amount in America? So put all of us, take all of us and do an average of how much we spend every day. What would you guess? 200? What would you guess? 100? This is per day, y'all. On just spending like out of your pocket. On average, every day.
But that includes when you go by the refrigerator.
It's just pocket spending. It's not your bills. It's not your mortgage. It's not that. 50? Okay. You said 200? 250. What do you say, Heather? 250. Wow, she's living large. What about you? 100. What do you say, Mom? What do you say? 100. Okay. $111. And I was like, on what? Like you, like on what? Literally, I went to Walmart. I mean, not Walmart, Walgreens, to get, I forget, I don't even remember what I had to get some toothpaste. And I walked down, all of a sudden I had spent $60. Because you get toothpaste and then you need this, you need that. And all of a sudden, I told the cashier, I was like, do you know that the average daily spending amount for an American is $111? I'm sure he thinks I'm crazy. But that, you know, like, on what? You know, like on random, oh, this is going to make me feel good, you know. So, one individual. I know it's insane. So check it out. If you're embarrassed to invite someone to Dharma class, just think about this, okay? That what the mainstream has to offer is not working. So don't be embarrassed to invite people here. From the federal government. Yes, from the person who's spending $250 to the person who's not spending anything. That's what an average is, or a mean. Okay. I'm going to give you some additional advices. Keep the main judge is the same thing as you are the one who can judge your practice. But let's take it to a little further extent. Are you becoming happier? Are you released from a little bit of jealousy? Like that's what it means by being the main judge. Like literally judge your practice. Is this stuff working? Because it's hard. If you're not getting happier, if you're not getting free of your mental afflictions in any small way, you're not working it or it's not working you. So talk to me, talk to somebody, because it actually is proven to help. You know, it's not like you should be working hard at this and not see any sort of happiness in your life. The whole point of the practice is actually to be happy. Here's a line: be joy alone in an unbroken stream. This means, is anybody familiar with the story behind the phrase, this too shall pass? I don't know if it's Solomon. I don't even think it's biblical, but it's ancient. But so, do you know the story, Darbs? So the story is this king wanted to have a gift that would make him laugh and cry at the same time. And he ordered his minion to go out and find this gift, gave the guy 6 months. Guy looks high and low for something that will make his boss laugh and cry at the same time. That's a hard gift to come by, right? Finally, on the day that it's due, it's the king's birthday, and he's going to be beheaded if he doesn't have this gift. He sees this guy with a little, like a trolley cart, and he's selling like little jewelry and stuff. And he tells the guy, like, you know, I'm about to get beheaded because I can't find this gift that will make the king laugh and cry. And the merchant says, oh, I got something for you. And he gives him a ring. And the minion looks at the ring, and he's like, oh, this is perfect. Perfect. So he takes it to the king, and he's like, I have found, sire, exactly what you were looking for. And the king is very skeptical. He opens it, and he sees the you're right, it's perfect. And the inscription is, this too shall pass. Right? So let's say it's the happiest day of your life and you get that. This too shall pass. That's something to make you cry. If it's the worst day of your life, this too shall pass. That's so that's how you need to be. A joy alone in a stream unbroken. It does not matter what the circumstances are. It does not matter that you get praise today from your boss and you get scolded the next day. Whatever. That's exactly how things go. Your joy cannot be based on circumstances. Okay? What's happening now isn't even connected to your spiritual practice of today anyway. We talked about the karmic gap. So there's no point in getting upset. It's there when you can keep it unthinking. This is another little bit of advice. An inexperienced horse rider, if they look away, they're going to get distracted and fall off the horse. This is the same thing with your practice. If you look away from your practice, you're going to fall apart. So keep up with your practice, and then after a while, you become the practice, right? It's not like, oh, let me open my book, let me sit on my cushion, let me become this other person. You become that person that you want to be, okay? So it's there when you can keep it unthinking. So we're going to skip number 6 and just go to number 7, because number 6 is a pretty lengthy list, and we'll do that next week. Number 7 in the 7 steps is certain advices, right? These are the tips and tricks for developing the good heart. Act now. Do the most important thing. Crush your tendency to watch out for yourself. We know this. We've said it a few times. Figure out both and free yourself. So here we go. Figuring out both. What you're trying to figure out is what has gotten you upset in the past. This is your personal mental affliction that you're trying to identify. For Geshe Michael, it's jealousy. He was super jealous of this other Dharma student who got just as much time with Kin Rinpoche and was more skilled at learning Tibetan. That's his thing, jealousy. My thing is anger. Okay? It's a mental affliction that comes up for me. And for many people, it's a very difficult one to stamp out. But make no mistake about saying, oh, anger is good, it's useful, whatever. When you get angry at someone, you're wanting them to drop dead. Okay? No pussyfooting around. You want them to drop dead and get out of your face. That is not what a bodhisattva is about. So there's no excuse for your anger. There's no room for it. All right, so you need to find your mental affliction. Don't shy away from this task. If you need help, ask your best friend. They'll be able to tell you. Okay? So find out what your biggest mental affliction is, and then figure out what the trigger is. Is it, if it's jealousy, Geshe Michael knew exactly it's just one guy. If it's, something, a lot of people have problems with jealousy. If you are not overcome with jealousy, like if somebody takes your man or if somebody gets more money than you, then you're way ahead of the game, right? If it's anger, what are the things that trigger your anger? It's not everything, like I hope. But figure out what are the things that, for me, it's like seeing injustices, people being selfish, or what I have decided is selfish behavior. And then take a third step, which is, when does this come up? Like, you're not walking around with this mental affliction at every step of the day. It's probably when you're tired, you haven't gotten enough sleep, you're overwhelmed, you've overextended yourself, too busy, those kinds of things. So find out, like, what is my mental affliction? What's the trigger, or who is the person? And when does this state come over me? So really identify these 3 things, all right? Then analyze why this mental affliction is unacceptable. Like, really have a conversation with yourself about why this cannot stand. You cannot be jealous and saving people from suffering. How does that make any sense at all? Seriously, you're jealous of some little thing that someone has that they're going to lose in less than a decade? Really? And you call yourself a bodhisattva or a wannabe bodhisattva. All right? So that's what that line means. Figure out both and free yourself. Okay. Next bit of advice. Stop thinking all the time about how wonderful you are. You probably don't think you're that wonderful, because most people really struggle with self-esteem issues. I do not, but most people do. And that's not what this is. This is not telling you to be a humble, lowly, person with low self-esteem. If you're studying Lojong, you're already 1 in a million. Awesome, amazing. This is super hard work. Nobody is obviously beating a path outside the door to get in here to study how to be a compassionate person. So you're already amazing, right? This is just to remind you that you're doing this because people need you, right? They don't have anywhere else to turn. You're the Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? You're their only hope. So there's that. And then there's also the fact that, especially for those of you who have vows, you've promised to do this. You don't need to pat yourself on the back. You're just doing what you said you were going to do. Okay, almost last one. Don't expect any thanks, okay, for being a bodhisattva, for being an awesome person who wants to help others and put others first. Do not expect thanks. Number one, you should feel that it's an honor to serve others, because it is. They are giving you an opportunity to reach enlightenment. It is an honor. Number two, don't expect any help from others. People can't even remain afloat, and so you looking to them with an expectation that they're going to help you, you're going to be disappointed. You do this by yourself. People are doing the best they can. Number three, don't expect anyone to say anything nice. So my Lama was here last week, and we had dinner a couple nights later, and I'm waiting for her to talk about what an awesome teacher I am. And she goes, oh, you misspelled something. I was like, do you have any feedback? She goes, yeah, you misspelled something. And that was so perfect. I don't need any praise. Like, that's not why I'm sitting up here. And she was perfect, right? You misspelled something. Don't wish for any fame or a good reputation. Just help others quietly and privately. You're not doing this to be known as some, Mother Teresa. That's not why you're doing this. Just give the lesson and go home, right? Just give the lesson and go home. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to back up to 6. Pledges to keep for developing the good heart. So the first one is keep to the 3 laws. Don't act in a way that is contradictory to what you've committed yourself to. So if you have vows and then you decide to take on the practice of Lojong, that doesn't mean you throw your other vows out the window. Because Lojong is sexy, it's alluring, it's the fun one. And plain old lifetime lay vows, no killing, no stealing, that's not as fun. So if you have commitments, keep them all. Don't just set them aside. That's one. Number 2, don't place yourself in a dangerous situation. Lojong can make you feel fearless, right? That's all well and good, but even though you have stopped cherishing yourself, that doesn't mean that you don't look out for yourself at all. Like you don't take care of yourself, you don't eat well, you don't sleep well because you're so focused on helping others. No, you have to include yourself in that group that you're taking care of. Okay? Never place yourself in a dangerous situation. Number 3, never fall into the habit of discriminating between others. That means don't be selective. Everybody comes into this practice thinking that they're going to reach enlightenment by loving the whole world except for that one asshole over there. That's not going to work. Include them in the group of people that you're loving and helping and saving. And that's what that line means about don't fall into the habit of discriminating against others. Last one. Change your mind and stay the same. So that means that while your mind is being worked on by realizations and by wisdom and compassion and all these things are going on inside, on the outside you are just regular you, right? You're same old you. You're same old Kim and Dima and Heather and Tiffany. You're the same person, You don't have to wear robes and shave your head and wear mala and, a big old Buddha patch. On the inside is where the work is happening. And the outside, you still want to be approachable and be you, right? So that's what that means. Change your mind and stay the same. Okay, you're awesome. I don't know how we got through all this, but we have now finished class 5. Yeah?
Suppose step 5
Step 5, way back when. The point where you've developed the good heart. The point where you've developed the good heart. So this course is called Developing the Good Heart. And point 5, it's strange because it's not what you would normally call a step, because you're not doing anything other than realizing that you've made it.
Step 4 is that power?
So no, POA is actually just its own practice. Yeah. I didn't give you step 4.
Well, no, you probably did. You might be able to step 4.
Who has step 4? Anybody? Yes, you're going to have to sit there and suffer. So 3 was transforming problems into the path of enlightenment. I don't have my notebook with me. I'll have to. Did you sign in? So who has written? I think I went through all of them though. So 1 was instructions on the foundation. 2 was the main practice of developing the wish. 3 was transforming problems into the path of enlightenment. And did I not give you guys 4? 4 is a whole lifetime's practice. No, it falls under POA. So it's the first 5 preliminary steps that you do during your whole life, and then the 5 steps on your deathbed, the POA, the real POA practice. That's number 4. A whole life. It's called a whole lifetime's practice, the 5 powers. Yeah? And it starts with the projecting power, habituating power. Okay. Sure. So let me just tell you really, really quick. I'm sorry to keep you late. I sent an email today to people whose email I have. If you didn't get it, can you please really quickly come up and give it to me? If you want me to make you a book, just send me an image and I'll make one for you. You were to give me ideas for a karmic partner. If you have any, does anyone have any ideas for a karmic partner? Does everyone know what a karmic partner is? Okay, so this is actually an organization or an individual that you are actively keeping in mind as you give money or efforts, and they're a way to anchor your practice. So when Geshe Michael started his diamond business, he also at the very same time created a nonprofit that digitizes texts, ancient scriptures, and gives people jobs who would otherwise have a difficult time getting jobs, like refugees. So he started that, and it's done great works at rescuing texts that are all over the world, and it has employed a lot of people, and it's been going on for like 25 years. So I would like for just our course to have a karmic partner, so that a percentage of the money that you donate, we will give to this organization. So think about it and come next week with some ideas, and we'll pick one. Okay? So there's that. You have a volunteer exercise to do before the end of this course. That means that you are to spend 4 hours in a day volunteering your time. You are not getting paid. It is not at Mahasukha. It is not for your dad's doctor's office. It's a nonprofit organization. You will spend 4 hours there. You can pick it. When I gave this assignment before, Heather and Dima and others picked, like, I would have gone to, like, I don't know, a tea restoration house or something that's not going to tax my brain. They went down to Skid Row and found an organization there called Monday Night Mission, did a great job, and now some Netflix employees and I go down there once or twice a month. We go on the 1st and the 15th of the month. So if you guys want to do that, we can do that, or you're welcome to join us. But think about some volunteer exercise that you would like to do, because Lo-Jong is not just working on the boss at work, right? I think that's everything.
If I already have something scheduled, that's
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What do you have scheduled?
Going to an organization called Cameras Forward,
Mm-hmm.
and putting together like books, like backpacks and things like that for kids for school,
Oh, nice.
handing them out to the families.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, and think about what I said before, that you want to be maximizing your karma. Like I got a triple reward score tonight when I asked Dima to teach the 4 powers, right? Because he's helping a Dharma teacher, so I get some of the credit. He's spreading the Dharma, and I'm spreading the Dharma, so it was like a big win for me. That's not why I asked you to do it, but so think about, how you're going to maximize this karmic dose you're trying to get. You guys are awesome. Thank you for listening and for working. I know it's not easy. Okay, so one thing I want to tell you for your homework, what you're going to do this week, just stretch yourself and do the homework. For class 4, you're going to skip question 2. You're going to skip question 2 and replace it with, what is your worst mental affliction? And you're going to tell me how you beat the crap out of it next week, right? What is your worst mental affliction? What are the triggers? Who's the person, or what is it that comes up? And what steps did you take to rip out its heart? Okay, prayers. Does everyone have a prayer? Because last, when I was listening at the opening prayers, it sounded like I was talking to myself. So does everyone have a little brochure? Marie doesn't have a brochure. There's one like right next to you. Okay. There, Debbie has one for you. Okay, Dimitri, you want to lead us? Uki jukshing metok tram, rirab lingshi nyende kimpati, sangye shingdu mikte owargi. And thus gain the 2 ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom, Dharmakaya. So now the prayer starts to make a little sense. Thank you so much. Go forth and multiply the Dharma, please.